thing. When you see a defensive player throwing a cup of water towards the offensive player, it's all coming apart right now. All coming apart.
The one thing that could be said about Jason Garrett for a long time is that he was always the same guy. And last night I saw a million gifs of him. He was at the dry spit and then the clap. And everybody's seeing it over and over again.
Yeah.
Last night during the game, the clap disappeared. And it's a small thing. It's a very, very small thing. But he didn't do it. And that means that he's heard that. He's heard it in the locker room. He's probably heard it, obviously, on television. And it's something that he's getting away from.
What Bobby, is he's losing himself.
Yes.
And right now, he's just kind of like retreating. He's retreating and just going inside of himself because he kind of feels like, what can I do?
Here's the part of it that I don't understand, because what he can do, I would think, and what I think I would do when any of us are in a position in which we feel outside of ourselves and uncomfortable, you go back to something with which you are most comfortable. Why the hell don't they give the ball to Ezekiel Elliott? I mean, what is going on?
What did we just say about head coaches not only coach players, they coach coaches? You're right. If there's one thing, you know what I would love to see? I'd love to see him turn to Kellen Moore and be like, if you don't run this ball.
Thank you.
I will take your headset off and I will call the plays. I don't care what Jerry does. Well, that's what he has to do.
That's what they did in the first drive. They had 8 carries in the first drive. They pound the football down the field.
Where does it go?
3 first downs.
Why do they stop?
Because you get too smart. And coaches love to fall in love with passing the ball. You look at all 3 guys: Jason Garrett, John Kitna, Kellen Moore. What position did those 3 guys?
Quarterbacks.
They're all quarterbacks. Quarterbacks inherently love to throw the ball. If you watch Matt Nagy and what he did, he realized, I'm not going to put more on my quarterback. We're going to toss it around a little bit. Easy throws. We're going to run it, get some guys involved, run screens, things that are digestible. That may not be sexy. They may be shots down the field.
Having been on headsets with professional coaches in high-pressure situations and games, it's funny reading what happens when I like to say you strap into that cockpit. You sometimes lose awareness as to why they put you in charge of that situation anyway. And all of a sudden, you just kind of get lost in yourself. And you're right. All of a sudden, running the football, it's like, nah, you know what? I have all these other plays on this play sheet. I just want to call this and call this and call this.
Here's the thing, Lewis. I was watching it and I was paying so much attention. It feels as if the Cowboys feel obligated to run the football as opposed to a desire to run the football.
Yeah.
First drive, Kellen Moore. You have it scripted. You practice it all week long. We're going to run, we're going to run, we're going to run. But as tiring as that drive was for the Bears, it is mentally excruciating for an offensive coordinator because, to Bobby and Lewis's point, you want to score quickly, Greeny. You know how hard it is to march down the field for an offense for 17 plays. So the problem was the Cowboys, they're so easily deterred from running it. Second drive of the game, they run it on first down, gain a yard. Oh, there goes that. Third drive of the game, run it on first down, only gain a yard. There goes that. If you stop the Cowboys running the ball on first down, I promise you they will abandon.
See, this is where we talked about this before. We talked about mental toughness when it comes to players, and now we're talking about it when it comes to coaches. Being mentally tough enough and having enough mental resilience to say, even though I got 1 yard, I'm going to continue to do what's best for this team and for this quarterback and for a struggling defense that's out there just getting ran through, because that's what I need to do. And you know what? That's what separates the haves from the have-nots. That's why certain teams are going to be turning over coaches and certain teams aren't.
Look at it like this. The Bears did a better job of being the Cowboys than the Cowboys did yesterday. What I mean by that is running the football, running the quarterback, gadget plays, screens like you showed in the pregame highlight. The Bears actually out-exexecuted the Cowboys at the Cowboys.
It may be too late for the Bears, but there were some people who were calling for Matt Nagy's head.
Maybe
a little too soon.
Get him, Lewis. That's fair. That's fair. The good news is the TVs aren't on in their
they turned them off.
They didn't hear me. But forgetting that, look, we were planning to get to a whole bunch of stuff here. Obviously, we're not doing it because I have a million more questions here. At the end of the day, I never coached or played, but I've worked with enough offensive linemen who would tell me that 1 yard run by Zeke in the first half is going to turn into 4 yards in the second half if you keep pounding it. Why don't they do it?
It's body blows. And the quarterbacks, they like to throw the football. They don't like to run it. And it's a little bit selfish because Lewis brought up the defensive aspect of it. Dallas has possessed the ball for less than 28 minutes in 5 games. You know what the record is in those 5 games? 0 and 5.
Yeah.
Because they're putting their defense in a situation. You watch the tackling get bad. Any defensive player at this table will sit here and tell you, your tackling gets worse the longer you're on the field, you get more tired. And so as an offensive coach sometimes, you don't always think about it. That's where the job of the head coach is, hey, we're getting shredded here. The Bears just had a 7-minute drive. Go out there, if nothing else, give us 2 first downs and burn some clock. And that is something playing for Bill Belichick. He hammered that all the time.
There are some people who objectively, when they look at football data, will say body blows don't matter. It doesn't matter to an offense. Well, it does matter to a defense when you're talking about what you're just talking about. When you're talking about possession of the football and keeping a defense that's struggling off the field for a while and letting them kind of like regain themselves and not have to play so many plays, because that's exactly right. Look, that is a direct correlation right there. You play more plays on defense, the more Dallas's defense is playing, the worse they're getting.
I thought
you need to help them out, and Dallas's offense is not helping them out.
Two of the teams that lead the league in time of possession, Baltimore Ravens, San Francisco 49ers. Both run the football really well, and both of their defenses are tremendous because they don't play that many plays.
And they were combined 20-4, and one of those losses was inside of that. So, okay, well, we're going to get to the Bears stuff coming up, I promise. I had that planned here, but I have to ask this because at the end of the day, we just spent 16 minutes talking about what a complete mess the Dallas Cowboys are. They are in first place in the NFC East.
Yeah.
They play the Rams next week. They play at Philadelphia the following week in a game that will probably decide their season. And then they have Washington at the end, which in theory is a game they should win, but at this point, who the heck knows? There's the schedule the remainder of the way. If they beat the Eagles and win either of the other two, they win. Our analytics suggest they are still an overwhelming likelihood that they're going to make the playoffs. Do you believe, Louis Riddick, that when the NFL playoffs begin in 4 weeks, the Cowboys will be hosting a game?
I hate that question. But you know what? Yeah, I do believe it. And I'll tell you why. Did you see the Eagles game against the Miami Dolphins?
Yes, I did.
Do you trust the Eagles defense? Do you trust the Eagles team overall right now? Although I think they have the much better coaching overall. I think they have a team that is made up of much more mentally tough players. But for some reason, something is awry there in Philadelphia. Something's awry. Dallas, man for man, should win this division. They should have won it weeks ago. But mentally, look, I'm going to pick them. I don't want to pick them. I don't want to pick anybody. As a matter of fact, you can keep the NFC East out of the playoffs if it were up to me. But this is I'm going to go with Dallas.
There was a point in this season where I thought Washington had the worst football team of all time, and they are not mathematically eliminated, and we're well into December.
Yeah.
Everyone in the division should be embarrassed by that. That said, who's going to win it?
I vehemently disagree with Lewis. I like the Eagles to win it because of what Lewis said, actually, in his answer. Coaching. The Eagles have been here before. Remember last year, they started off the season, I believe, with a 6-5 or 5-6, ended up making it to the playoffs. Obviously, different quarterback. Eagles lost to the Dolphins. They look bad. The Cowboys look terrible. I don't know if they've been here before. I don't know if they can rebound from this situation. But to Lewis's point, we're arguing about the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Like, nobody should really get in.
I mean, the bad news for the Bears is if they were in the East, they'd be leading right now. They'd be in front place to host a playoff game. I have to roll with the Cowboys in this. And you mentioned, Manny, the fact that the Eagles had been there before. I think that actually is working to their detriment because they have a lot of veteran players on that team, and I think they're just expecting to turn it over. Last week, they got to sit there on Thanksgiving and watch the Cowboys lose to the Bills, and you have the Dolphins coming up to seize that division and be able to take control and say, hey, this is our chance to move. And they lost the game by 10 points.
And you get housed by Ryan Fitzpatrick.
That was bad. It was bad.
And Devontae Parker. They took you to the woodshed. So I don't know, the whole coaching thing. Look, I love Doug Peterson. People know that. I have so much respect for the guy. But on the defense side of the ball last week down in Miami, they got housed.
I think, Lewis, so we all know it's going to come down to the game in Philly. Can the Cowboys, Greeny said
That's right.
The Cowboys can't afford to lose one of the other two. Can the Cowboys beat the freaking Rams? That's the real question, because I think it comes down to that
Very
game.
quickly, look how much easier the Eagles' schedule is. They're home against the Giants Monday night. The Giants are starting Eli Manning. They get Washington, and they get the Giants again. The Eagles have a much easier schedule.
You know what? But it's going to come down to probably the most compelling game between two sub-500 teams in Week 16 in NFL history.
And see, you know what? When you're talking about teams that right now I think are lacking in the mental resiliency department, it's a toss-up. You don't just throw out all those strength of schedule and all that stuff because you don't know what team's going to show up. We should all just be sitting there in the parking lot going, just watching them all get out of their cars going, hey, how you feel today? Well, because I don't know how you're going to play today. Because that's how it is with these teams.
Both of those teams are really talented, and all of a sudden one day they choose to show up and play, and then you get a team that's a playoff
That's what
squad.
I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Cowboys have 10 days to sleep on this one. All right, we didn't get to almost anything that we meant to there, which is the good news because we've got 2 hours to get to it all. Let's get rolling here. We got much more to come on Get Up this morning on a Football Friday, including much more on the Cowboys' disastrous loss. How much of this is actually on Jerry Jones? We'll talk about it. We'll talk plenty about the Bears and Mitch Trubisky and how good he was last night. And then one simple answer from Odell has led to a lot of questions about his future. Will he be one and done? We'll try to get to that as we continue. It's a Football Friday with Get Up on ESPN.